Hello, how's it going? It's Terrell. Welcome to the podcast. And today I'm just going. Oh, yeah, let me go back. I got to record. Hello, today. Welcome to the podcast. It's Terrell Jackson, your host, and you are tuned into the Journey Genius podcast. Now, what I'm talking about today is simply ranking expectations. Here on the Journey Genius podcast, it's all about allowing insight, having conversations, telling stories, all concerning the journey to improve oneself, to become a better version of oneself. And that's simply it. Everyone is human, everyone makes mistakes, but I'm here with you just to document the journey in hopes to inspire progress. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. But yeah, I do want to first acknowledge I am a man of faith. So let's not go further without saying that. Try to keep it clean, but I'm human. You know what I mean? So today I just want to talk about ranking expectations. Ranking expectations. Now, I have notes here, so just bear with me. So basically, I like to say that you can't value all opinions on the same level. Now, that's not to say that you can't learn something from anyone, which we can all learn something from anyone, from the oldest person in the world down to a little baby. We can all learn something from anyone, you know. But not everything needs to be allowed to enter our spirit. You know, we can learn something from anyone, but not everything needs to be allowed to enter into our spirit, into our core beliefs. And that's where ranking expectations comes in. And not to be too specific, because I don't want to put anyone down. You know, just imagine two particular fields of study. Let's say you have a scientist, and then let's say you have an editor of a magazine. Okay, when it comes to receiving advice on specific data, collecting data, you know, getting the overall information, then I might be inclined to value that scientist's advice and expectations on a higher level. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, when it comes to when, where, and how to present that particular bit of information that I collected, then I might be more inclined to basically go to the editor. So essentially what I'm saying is I'm going to give you 3 steps to ranking expectations. I'm going to break those steps down, give you examples and hypothetical scenarios so you can put it in context for yourself. You know, so number 1, how well does this person know me? I always ask myself that, and I always consider that when I am interacting with people when it comes to the seriousness of, you know, when it comes to the seriousness of receiving information. Because if you think about it, you know, taking in information from someone else, it's a big deal because we only get one life, you know? And so when we take someone else's perspective and we apply it to our own lives, it's pretty much a big deal, you know? So here's number 1. How well does this person know me? Many times, well-intended people are stuck on autopilot and they have a saying or a set of norms that has worked for them. So they tell everyone the same thing when they interact with them. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when it comes to managing other people's expectations of you, this is something we have to be conscious of. For example, people always say, I heard when I was coming up, go to school, get an education. Go to school, get an education. Go to school, get an education. No matter who it was, it seemed like this was the common thing for people that I came across to say. And so you have to exercise discernment. When balancing expectations, just as doctors gain insight about a patient and their unique history before treating that patient, the same medicine may not work for all patients. So we have to go and look at individual situations in order to try to cater, how much we listen to or what we're actually saying to an individual. And so how well experienced, the second part is, number 2 is how well experienced is the person in a relevant endeavor. How well experienced is the person in a relevant endeavor? You're the first, the last, and the only person who gets to live your life. It's part of your genius. So making decisions based upon outside expectations is a big deal. Even though we are all one of one, there are many experiences or paths that we share with people past, present, and future. Sort of like the president. The president is one of one, but not history's only one. So when we evaluate how much effect a person's advice has on us, then we can be able to gain insight into its relevance. So, for example, you may be a very young kid, desire to be a business person, like I was. You want to become an entrepreneur. So you hear a successful person tell you that you don't need college. But you're an athlete and the person was not. Okay? So you may conclude that going to college will allow you to pursue your sports dreams and later on explore ventures in maybe health or fitness. Just as a simple example to give you deeper insight. Now, furthermore, on the contrary, you may ask a star athlete about building wealth, but you're not athletic. So you may be inclined to take that original person's advice who was a successful entrepreneur and who did not pursue college. So the relevance of the experience and how it relates to your own situation has always been something that I had to learn to give me insight on how much value to place in other people's expectations. Now so far, let's just recap. So far we have, how well does this person know me specifically? And the reason why we want to know how well does this person know me specifically, so that we know that they're talking to us and considering our specific situation, not just echoing something that they always say to everyone. Number 2, how well experienced is the person in a relevant endeavor? A relevant endeavor, So does your situation match my particular situation? And we gave the example of a non-athletic person asking a pro athlete how to build wealth when a pro athlete has got $1 million sign-on bonuses and millions of dollars based on their athletic ability. A person who has no athletic ability may not be as relevant to that particular piece of advice. Number three, do the expectations elevate my perspective or distract me from my core beliefs? This is a very important one. That's what I want to say. Maybe the most important one. If you were to choose one, this might be the most important one. Matter of fact, I probably should have started with that. And the question is, when ranking other people's expectations, about us, toward us, upon us, do the expectations elevate my perspective or distract me from my core beliefs? Every day we take in new information. The data that we hold on to shapes our belief systems. A quick scroll of YouTube, you can find opposing opinions. Put your money in real estate. Cryptocurrency is the best way to build wealth. You should be podcasting. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So the desires of our hearts and the dreams we have are there to provide a compass for our life's mission. Chase things that give you life. Make decisions that inspire you when you think about accomplishing them. Make decisions that inspire you just at the thought of accomplishing them. You say, man, if I was to be able to do that, oh man, just the thought of it, may give you goosebumps. Ultimately, you will be able to serve others best by being able to accept and enjoy the path you choose. The deeper the roots of your why, the better you can manage expectations. The deeper the roots of your why, the better you can manage expectations. I'm a father. I want to be a father. That's one of the more important things that I want to do. So there are certain things that I'm unwilling to do if they're going to take me away from my family, and I know they're going to take me away from my family. I'm just going to avoid it because my why is rooted in being around my family, so I can better manage my decision making in things that will ultimately contradict that path or take me away from my family. Hence maybe illegal things or things that I can avoid. Simple as that. Let me say that again. Ultimately, you will be able to serve others best by being able to accept and enjoy the path that you choose. The deeper the roots of your why, the better you can manage expectations. Because in the darkest of days, when you stick to what you believe, the less people you will be able to blame. There will be no excuses necessary because just the pursuit alone gives you enough to wake up and try again the next day. Because you're in love with the pursuit, you're in love with the journey. Now, when I say on the darkest of days, when you stick to what you believe, the less people you will be able to blame. Understand the thing that I have learned is the problem with a good excuse is that it is terribly hard to get rid of. When you justify something in your mind that makes logical sense and you want to accept it, even though it's contrary to what you're trying to do, it's hard to get rid of that. That's why I say the decisions that we make and the decisions that you make should be based on what you believe. Because when you make decisions based on what you believe, at the end of the day, you at least got to say, I tried and I believed in myself. And I learned from it, or I excelled in it. Because it's a very frustrating thing for you to make a mistake and not understand how you arrived at the consequences of that mistake. And oftentimes that happens when there are too many influences around and we're not ranking our expectations, or we're not managing our expectations, or we're not sticking to our core beliefs and our core values. All of a sudden, you've tried 5 different things from 5 different people's advices, and you're not content with any of them because none of them were in your heart and none of them were a part of your core beliefs. And so when times get tough, and you're not being true to yourself, then it becomes a very frustrating thing for you and those individuals around you. Believe me, I've had spurts of times where I've tried to do what was normal, what made logical sense, but maybe not what was in my heart. And so even though I succeeded as far as financially, I ended up not being the best person to be around, or not really being content with myself, because there was opportunity on the other side of me at least trying to pursue my dreams. And so do yourself a favor, in my very humble opinion, make it easier on the people around you and yourself by sticking to your core beliefs, so that they don't get caught up in the crossfire of, regret or missed opportunities or resentment, and that's why it's very important, that's why I wanted to come on today, and I wanted this to really be the very first, episode, or the very first show on the podcast as far as the Journey Genius, because when setting a foundation to becoming a better version of yourself, then we always have to balance expectations. So once balancing the expectations is, I got a dog barking outside. So so when we balance the expectations, is simply, ranking them. Ranking the expectations is balancing expectations. And that's basically knowing what value to place on what information that we do receive. And, that's really all I want to talk about today. Keep it short and simple. If you don't know, you can follow me on TikTok at Terrell Inspires. You can go to Inspire Progress on YouTube. You can go to Inspire Progress on TikTok. You can go to Terrell Inspires on Instagram. But ultimately, this right here is about the Journey Genius podcast. And I wanted to give you a ton of value today, and I wanted to set the foundation of ranking expectations. So, with that being said, have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.